people here who we've got. There's Laura. Hey, Laura. There's Kurt. What's up, brother? There's John, Carol Ann, Lucy. Welcome, Diane and John. My friend Esther's here. There's Gail's chair. Gail's not in it right now. I'm sure she'll be back here just in a moment. There's Carl. Welcome, Carl. Karen, Wendy, Tom, Kim, Katie, Deli, and Liz, and Mark, who I'm meeting with later today. Good to see you all, my friends. So glad you're here. We're going to go ahead and get started. So I did have to mute all the lines because we have got an ever-growing group of people here that just keeps on coming. We've got, 168 with us live right now in this exact moment. And, of course, if those of you joining us on the YouTube channel, we're glad you're here as well. A couple ideas that came up. Logistics first. You guys know logistics are my least favorite thing to talk about because I'm into philosophy, right? I like to think about how the mind works and how people succeed and who's doing it. Not so much what do we do, but who's doing it. In fact, I just had this conversation with some of our brand new friends who just got started and who I just got to meet for the first time. We got Brett here, Kathy, welcome Kathy. There's Sam, Barty, welcome Barty. Matthew's here, Matt, Evelyn, Sarah, Randy, Janan, and Justin. Welcome all of you, brand new friends here. And I believe it was Matt from the UK who I just met who brought this up. He had a question, as many people do. So I just texted the Australian Home Office, and I want to see about maybe having a definitive guide placed in multiple places throughout the website, so these questions don't unnecessarily come up. But here's a new member from the UK, which we've got so many. Welcome to all of our new members from the UK and that region who are interested in selling into the United States. And they didn't readily see a way for them to set up their Amazon sellers account in a way that they could sell into the United States. It just said, Europe, select Europe and stuff like that. Now, I'm not seeing the screen. Some of you have recently done this. Maybe you've got advice for Matt and for all the Brits and Europeans and such who are looking to sell into the largest consumer market in the world, which is an absolute must. I mean, ask anybody. You got to be selling into the United States. So if somebody has a guide, I know there's a guidebook. Liz, go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, I had a go at setting up my Amazon account today, and it gave me the option to join Europe, US, and Japan for the one fee of $39. So I took the option there. So my account is still based in the UK, but it gives you that option to join other markets.
Right. So that was during your initial account setup, your seller's account setup. You reside in the UK, you are UK, and now here comes, where am I selling into? So there's choices there, right?
There are.
You select all, I suppose, right?
Yeah, you can select all, or you can select just one and then go back afterwards and add others at a later date. So there's flexibility there.
Right. So that's what I understand as well. Like when I set up my author's account, right? So I'm an author and I have books, and I can sell into whatever countries I want. In my case, I'm only publishing in English, so you got to read English. But if somebody in South Korea wants to buy my book, be my guest, and let's route that money into my U.S. account. Here is, because you can actually pick, which accounts you're going to. Oh, send it to my Korean account. Well, I don't have a Korean account. I'm American, right? So that's it. Done. Thank you for that. Appreciate that, Liz. And so again, for Matt or for anyone, right, when you're setting up your account, you should be able to select various things. If something isn't showing up, maybe there's a technical glitch. I don't know. I know Amazon just hired another 100,000 people just for the United States market. It is all hands on deck. So I can't see the screen that you're looking at when you're going through that stuff. Evelyn has her hand up. Evelyn? No, Evelyn. Okay. Patrick, did you have a comment? Question?
Yeah, I just want to say, like Liz just said, I went to apply for a seller's account, and I made a mistake right at the very start, and it sent me to the European seller's market. And after that, I couldn't click back to right the mistake. I had to carry on through the process and open up a European account. Then I could join the American account after. So I ended up paying 2 fees. So people have to be careful about that, because
Okay.
I think I can cancel the one account afterwards, but I'm not sure whether to keep it open or not for the future.
Patrick, did you click on the wrong thing or something? How did you?
I think I inadvertently clicked on something wrong, and it didn't allow me to go back to correct it. So I had to go through the whole process and then go through, click to the American market through the European to open another account in the American market. So
Okay.
I ended up with 2 lots of fees.
Okay.
So,
So what, a $30 mistake, we could say?
yeah, $30. It's
okay.
not.
Right, not the end of the world, but if we can avoid that mistake, great.
Yeah.
And the thing is that again, unless we're looking at in real time what the Amazon website is showing us, it's kind of hard to diagnose that. So
be very careful, because they don't allow you to write the mistake.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for your input, Patrick. Again, thank you everyone for allowing us to cover logistics before we get into more lofty topics. Evelyn.
Okay, sorry. Is there any reason at all, just one last thing about claiming different markets, is there any reason at all why we wouldn't want to sell our goods or in all the markets? Like Mexico is a market that I could sell my goods in. Is there any reason why we wouldn't want to just hit them all?
Good question for an Amazon coach. I can't think of one. In my case, you know, with the world that I'm living in here, it's I mean, you want to buy my book, right? You want Kindle, there it is, Kindle. So yeah, I can't imagine, you know, somehow disallowing a certain region or currency. I mean, whatever, right? Maybe here's an idea. Okay, so with something that has a lot of intangible value, like in the case of, you know, information products, books, things like that, there's a lot of profit margin in that. But for, you know, the widget, which maybe cost you, you know, a bit more to produce, and now you're going to sell it into that market where now you got to pay, you know, currency exchange rates and everything else. Maybe it's, you know what, it's not profitable for me to sell the widget into Mexico, as an example. I don't know, right? So that's just a math consideration right there. So good question. Anybody else have maybe some answers on why you would not want to sell into a secondary or tertiary market?
I think you have to pay fees in both. So if you're selling, right, your FBA fees, you'd still have to pay those in both places.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I mean, it could be a monetary thing that holds you back.
Then, so there it is. Very good. Lisa, it's good to see you. Lisa.
Hi.
There she is.
I'm here every day.
Yeah. So it's a financial consideration, right? So
yeah, it could be.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Now, of course, with Blue Sky products, which everyone very here is so fortunate to be learning profitable methods on Amazon from the best, right? From Sophie. So we're not here to just have the, you know, the race to the bottom arbitrage Chinese crap for 10 cents less than the other guy. That's not the game we're playing, right? So that's nice. Very good. Good news for you. In fact, I've had feedback. In fact, I think it was Nick, our friend Nick, the other day, who was talking about looking at a lot of people sourcing on China and stuff, and he's got a bit of an aversion to that, which is completely understandable. Okay, so does everybody right now. We've got a bit of an aversion to that. That doesn't mean that you know, that completely invalidates, you know, any products sourced from China. Okay, Sophie has sourced plenty of products from China as well, but that is not the whoop and wharf of this method and this training. Understand, Sophie's a bit contrarian, as she says, you know, when most people zig, she zags, right? That's a really good consideration for you to have for yourself too, right? I heard it said a different way. If most people are turning left and a couple of people are turning right, follow the couple that are turning right. You'll probably never make another mistake again, right? So it's the path of the few. There's a bit more to know. It's not, you know, just any dummy can show up and, you know, set up an account and, you know, throw caution to the wind or whatever. No, there's a bit more competence that goes into that. But great news, it's all contained in your Blue Sky program, right? You're going to be learning all that. Now, having discussed, you know, the logistics and some of the confusions that come up around that, Jackie, we just crossed over 200 live in the room right now. Oh, yep, there we go. We're over 200. There's that. Welcome, 200 people. Glad you're here. Glad we expanded the room. When we max this room out, we're not expanding it again, by the way. It's going to have to be YouTube because it's already getting pretty huge. But with that consideration, that's what I want to just talk with you about just for a few minutes, and then we'll open it up for discussion, is the idea of being a bit of a contrarian, or one of the words that I like is a nonconformist. We talked about this yesterday with our topic about thinking from the end, right? Putting yourself in the mental and emotional and spiritual state of knowing that it's too late to fail. You've already got it. You're already operating as the person who has reached that goal, whatever your goal happens to be. Hopefully you've got one. You need to have one. Okay, so hey, John. There's John Mudd, everybody.
Hi, John.
Good to see you, brother. So so we're thinking from the end. This is a contrarian way of behaving. All right. So when we think about Rollo May was a psychologist or something. He said in our society today, the opposite of courage, the opposite of courage. Yes, the opposite of courage is not cowardice, it is conformity. Great quote. Interesting. The opposite of courage is not cowardice, it is conformity. Let me just do what everybody else is doing. I mean, if everybody else is doing it, it must be good and right. Well, look through history, and you can disabuse yourself very quickly of that, false concept. So one of the things that we've got to do, like Sophie has done, is become a bit of a contrarian or nonconformist. When we get into product research, and you're gonna for our new members, you're gonna see more about this as you go through your modules. You're looking at ways that you can do things better, stronger, faster. In other words, what's the point of differentiation? Why did people buy Sophie's tea from Nepal when tea already existed long before Sophie showed up on planet Earth and long before Amazon started, selling Sophie's tea? But why was she able to build that brand and scale it up to the point where here comes a major tea company who buys her out for 7 figures, right? How does that happen? Okay, tea already existed, Amazon already existed, all the stuff already existed, okay, but we did it differently. Apple, what used to be known as Apple Computer, now it's just Apple. What was their tagline when they were starting to gain traction in the marketplace? Think different. Think different, right? So I remember there was a TV commercial. I think they ran it on a Super Bowl ad where they had all these people in dark cubicles staring at their IBM computers, being miserable. And Big Brother is on the screen. And then, somebody came out with, a Mac, right? It was think different. Kind of had an effect, right, in the marketplace. That's what you want to do. You want to have an effect in the marketplace. And there's ways to do this, more quickly than others. Okay. One thing is to think outside the box a little bit, which may sound just cliche to you right now. Certainly you've heard that before. Okay. But when you're doing your product research, and we're going to have another Amazon coach out here again for a guest speaker here real soon. We're going to do the Amazon Ask the Coach session again. But you've all got an Amazon coach that you'll be selecting once you get through at least 4 modules. All right. But one of the things that you're gonna want to do is you're going to want to look at what is already happening in the marketplace. So looking historically, here's what happens with those types of products. And you want to consider what is it that not only has that broad appeal, but that you can communicate benefits to your ideal target audience in a way that nobody else is, and fetch even a higher price. So again, this is the nonconformist way of thinking that I'm thinking of. I remember I was reading something from, this was years and years ago. It was Donald Trump, in fact. He said, you know what, we had these apartments that weren't selling. Here's the high rise, right? The apartments were vacant. We needed to sell the apartments. He doubled the price, sold them out in like a week. So if you got a quality product and the message sometimes isn't getting through, a lot of times the conforming thought would be, it must be the price. Now we're on the race to the bottom. Let me keep lowering the price. Maybe more people will see the value and go ahead and give me just a little bit less money, but still, create that exchange. the contrarian way of thinking is, okay, so here are people that are paying $10 for tea. And I don't know the numbers in my head. Okay. But here's $10 for tea. Here's a $15 tea, right? I can be just like everybody else because tea's worth about $10, or fill in the blank with whatever the product is. Or I could do better, stronger, faster. Here's my point of differentiation. Here's my unique selling proposition. Here's why you will pay more for this, and you'll be glad you did, and you'll refer others, right? And you'll be a repeat buyer because we're going to dazzle and delight. You know, that's one of the things, excuse me, looking at this whole community, this whole operation, that's one of the things that Blue Sky is intent on doing, is dazzle and delight the new member, you, right? So you got a certain amount of money that you paid to get in the training. Well, great. Can we deliver 10 times that value? 10 times. Because think of it. Your experience here, your success doesn't just benefit you. Think of how many times we've received help. And for our new members, you'll see, the more you hang around in these rooms, how many times people have been assisted by those who have come before them, right? I'm not the Amazon guru or something, but my goodness, Bernadette is a great example. She's created spreadsheets and all this kind of stuff for people to help source products, just because she's further down the road, and she created some order in her own life and in her own brain that she can now share with other people, right? That's a huge benefit. This is all part of the plan. The plan is that you go make a spectacle of yourself, because you're a lot more valuable to yourself and your family and the world when you're doing it, right? When you're succeeding. I don't think the world needs any more conformists or victims or, you know, people that are downtrodden. No, we need leaders. That's you, right? Sophie's come before you. So if some of these other people, there's Lisa, the head coach in the head office. There's all the other coaches that you can select, that you can work with. By the way, for our advanced students, those of you who have been through the whole Jetstream process, which some of you are just getting acquainted with now, and you've chosen to participate in the accelerated group, you're working with the top of the top of the top, right? So that is huge unfair advantage there. But the point is that if we look down the road a little bit and we think with the end in mind, right? Like we talked about yesterday, thinking from the end, okay? Of what value will you be, not only to yourself, but throughout the marketplace, because you chose to reach higher. You chose to think different. It's a big question. I want you to consider that as you go through your basic training, especially I'm talking to our brand new people, as you go and you get acquainted with, you know, Jetstream and with this community, and whether you're showing up on the Facebook group yet, okay, which don't be in a big hurry to do that. I think they wait at least a week before they unleash you into the Facebook group. Can be pretty noisy in there. But the idea is that you are part of the solution, not only in the lives of your customers that you'll be selling to on Amazon, but also in the lives of anyone you come into communication with. This is called the impression of increase. The impression of increase. Those of you who've read The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, he says, every interaction you have with another person should leave them with the impression of increase, that their life is more now that they've had that interaction with you. He said, even if you're just selling a stick of candy to the child at the general store, the book was written in 1910, okay? So you're selling a stick of candy to the child leaves with the impression of increase. He comes back and buys more candy. He brings his friends, okay? The impression of increase. That's how you can, and I believe should, show up in the marketplace, not just with your product offerings, but with who you are. Bigger topic than perhaps how do we set up our account to sell into the United States, but I think it's one that you can take and chew on and do some really good with, not for yourself just alone, but for everyone you're in communication with. So those are some ideas that I wanted to share with you here. I see a couple questions in the live chat. We're just 20 minutes in, so we got a few minutes here. I do have a hard stop in a little bit, so I'm going to have to exit the room. If you guys want to leave it open, I will. But who would like to come out here and talk a little bit about whatever's on the table? Allison. Hey, Allison. Oh, Allison vanished. There's Allison.
No, I'm here.
Hey,
yeah, no, I've got a quick question. I've been on the course for about a week and a half.
Mhm.
And loving it, learning so much, based in the UK.
Mhm.
When I was watching last week, somebody mentioned about setting up a UK Zoom group, and I just wondered if that had moved forward at all. I'm quite happy to do that, but I know somebody else was already talking about it, so I don't want to step on somebody else's feet. So somebody else's toes, as we say in England.
Right. You guys can do whatever you want. This room's always open.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
it's good. My only caution to you is don't let it just be a social club for the sake of socializing. Otherwise, no work gets done.
No.
Good stuff. I've done a lot of work in various home business and online marketing capacities and affiliate programs, and there is the tendency. This is why I'm just putting this out here, just so you guys know where my brain just went. There's the tendency to practice work avoidance. Okay, work avoidance. Let's get on every conference call. Let's go through every training. Let's never do anything actually with the training, but we're one secret away from getting things going. Oh, no. Get it done. So thank you, Evelyn or Allison. Thank you, Allison. Lois and Stephen. Or who else? We got Allison. Who wants to talk?
Question?
Yes.
Hi. Sorry, I don't really know how to raise my hand, so I just started.
That's okay. We don't have to raise hands, but when people do, I take notes. So go ahead.
Okay.
Naomi.
Thank you. Yes, I'm in London as well, or the UK. I have a quite specific question where I get stuck. So when you're on helium-10 and you do the reverse ASIN search, what are you looking out for? I mean, I'll sort it by the volume, high to low, but what is a good scope or a bad scope? I'm not quite sure about that, as well as the search volume on Magnet.
Anybody got an answer for that? All right. I know helium-10 does specific training on that, baby.
Oh, hi, Naomi. I think the best thing to do would be to go on to the learn buttons, because I'm still going through that process as well. But have you looked on, clicked on in each, like in Magnet and Cerebro, have you clicked on the learn where you go for the tutorials?
No, I haven't done any helium-10 tutorials. That's a good.
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing, the best starting point, jump off point, I would have thought, because they are really informative and they're really quick, they're succinct, they're like 6 minutes each, and Bradley takes you through each process and what it means. So if you go into Cerebro or Magnet, and in the sort of like in the middle, and there's an icon that says learn, and then all the tutorials are in there.
Okay, cool. But then
Neil, this is John. If you go to the training modules in helium-10, they'll answer those questions for you. They'll take you through each area and what it's for and how you use it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you go to the training area, it'll answer most of your questions.
Thank you. I'll do
Bradley also does a number of YouTube tutorials that go into great detail. So if you're still not finding your answers on the helium-10 learning tools, try YouTube some of that instruction as well. It's pretty good.
And it's really clear. It's really clear. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noemi. And, I had a conversation just earlier with people about the technology becoming transparent. I used Zoom as an example because I don't see Zoom anymore. I see Noemi. I see Allison and Ray and John and Bibi. Actually, I don't see Bibi because her camera's off today. But yeah. But
so I keep on forgetting. So here I am.
No, don't worry. There she is. There she is. Right. So that's at first it's like, where's the buttons? What do I click on? Right. So Noemi, you'll do just fine as you dig in and actually touch the machine. Okay. Good stuff. All right. We got Lois and Stephen. We got James. We got Alice. Who wants to talk next? Lois and Stephen.
Hiya.
Hey.
Well, it's good evening here, but it's, I think, morning in the States, is it?
The sun's either going down or coming up there at the Coliseum. Very nice.
Yeah, it's making me feel like I'm going on holiday in lockdown quarantine. It's something I turned on for fun a few months ago, but I can't remember how to turn it off. My question is one more about mindset than technicalities, and
good.
you said that's what your main focus is.
Mhm.
Something that has been a bit of a limiting factor in our lives, moving our lives forwards, certainly for me, has been thinking too small and being afraid to think bigger, or seeing thinking big as unrealistic and potential disappointment and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure how to frame the question. I just wanted to see if you had any input about playing small or that kind of, if that made sense to you, if there was something you could share on that.
I would love to. That is a great question, Stephen. And I'll tell you what, a lot of times I have found myself, so this is what I've observed in my own life, I've found myself looking at yesterday to set my expectations for tomorrow. And because maybe I played small yesterday or 5 minutes ago or last year or whenever it was, that somehow sets a precedent for tomorrow. Now, I'm not here to just keep maintaining, or just like a rat looking for cheese and survival, right? I'm looking to expand. So with that, if I'm going to endeavor into some new area or some new action, okay, if I'm making those decisions like you recently made, because here you are, okay, then what I must do is I must hit the reset button, and I've got to play to win. I'm not playing to not lose, right? I'm playing to win. So there's a bit of a mental leap that comes with that. The thing that has allowed me to overcome that thinking small kind of stuff in times when I have, and I haven't arrived, I'm not perfect, okay? So it's constant vigilance. But the thing that has allowed me to do that is to have purpose bigger than just me. Purpose. So kind of like we were talking about before, when you sort of leave the herd and you become a part of the solution, not just for yourself, but in the planet, well, that's a much bigger purpose. One of the reasons I do the work that I do is because, and I think you'll find this instructive, I grew up on the streets of New Jersey. We were broke. It was a rough scene, right? And so when I decided, what did I want to be, do, and have in my life, okay, I decided for myself, my purpose was to expand prosperity and prosperity consciousness for as many people as I could touch in my time on this planet. I do that through various vehicles. One of them is the consulting work that I do, obviously here with Blue Sky and with the companies that I work with. So that's a very on purpose thing for me. I can reach more people and thereby gain more results for myself. Okay, when I expand my purpose and I look at multiple ways to fulfill that purpose, multiple streams of income, multiple opportunities for me to participate in the solution in, again, not just only my life, but in the lives of many people. The late Jim Rohn said, if you want to increase your income, which I think we're all interested in doing, well, increase your value to the marketplace. That's the equation. That's the whole equation. If you want to increase your income, increase your value to the marketplace. What's the marketplace, right? Well, right now it's 7 billion people. I don't know if we can get off of the planet yet. We can hit some other planets, probably not. So we're just dealing with Earth right now. Okay, well, there's 7 billion opportunities. Okay, some of them speak English. Some of them are on the internet. Great. What's the largest retail platform? Amazon. So for physical products. But then you know what? We've also got here's thinking bigger, Stephen. Here's about 80% of Amazon sellers are also selling off platform. Right. So here's, I'm looking at Annie right now. Hi, Annie. Good to see you. So here's Annie's widgets on Amazon. Here's Annie's widgets coupled with Annie's course on how to use the widgets on annies.com. Right. Now we're getting bigger. We're thinking bigger. So the idea that I'll leave you with, right, is to consider where you really want to go with this, what effect you want to have in your own life and in the lives of those you can touch. And then start thinking of multiple ways that you can fulfill that purpose, which is bigger than the purpose you had yesterday. Your clarity expanded, your vision for yourself expanded, right? And then don't be afraid so much of making mistakes. We all make them. Playing to not lose kind of sucks. That is brother to procrastination, perfectionism, right? Playing small. Hopefully I don't make big mistakes. You'll learn faster. Steve, I hope that perspective helps. And I want to connect with you more on this as you continue to stick around here. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So glad you're here. Hi,
story.
Susie. Hi, Susie.
Yeah, I have a story. I hope to be quick with it. and it's when I to do with Think and Grow Rich. Okay, I actually read the 1976 print of it in the late 80s, and two things to this day I still remember is when you start your journey, you burn your bridges, and you think of the Model T Ford and how much you had to do to achieve that. But I went on in the 90s to be self-employed, and I did very well out of it for 25 years. I can't complain, but looking back, I could have done more. And the design that I created in my head could have gone further than I made it at that time. And the other thing that got in the way was the emotions, the fear of doing something bigger. But I can see that now, which I didn't see back then. And that's what, you know, like looking at the bigger picture rather than you cover the small details. But the bigger picture is, yeah, you've got to sort of take a huge leap into a zone, a new world that you haven't experienced before, and you can do so well with that.
Thank you, Susie. Yeah, it's easy to kind of just, as easy as it is to do the right thing, it's even easier to just not do it, right? Because it's comfortable. And so taking that leap is uncomfortable. It's thinking, right? It's hard. Henry Ford, you brought up Henry Ford. He said thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably why so few people engage in it. Yeah. Interesting. Right? Yeah. So good stuff. I got James and Alice has their hands up, and then we got a lot of people unmuted. Come on out, you guys. Who wants to talk next?
I have Elise speaking.
Elise.
Hi. So actually, it wasn't a question. It was actually a response to Naomi's question about helium. So I had my first coaching call. I poured a number of hours into figuring out what happens in helium-10. So in case it's helpful, I'll just share. Basically, if you look at any given product on Amazon, it's making its money through probably about 5 keywords. If you take the ASIN of that product and you stick it into the reverse ASIN finder, and you click show keywords, it's going to give you a list of probably hundreds of keywords that would pull up that product if you typed it into Amazon. That's not that product won't be making money off all of those like 200 keywords. They'll be making money off of just a few. So if you type into the filters and you narrow that down, you can figure out which would be the best keywords you could consider using for your own similar product. So there are some entries called organic rank. So if you were to filter that from minimum 1 to like maximum 15, that's basically saying, show me the keywords where this product is ranking between number 1 and number 15 on like when you search that keyword. So essentially it's on the first page and it's in the first half of the first page. You can also add another filter, which is to the left of organic rank, and that is search volume. So if you're looking for a viable search word to use for your own product, the second thing you would look at is how many people are looking for that keyword. And so you can filter that to sort of 200 plus, 300 plus, depending on how competitive you want to go. And that's basically going to help you narrow down from a list of like 300 possible keywords to maybe 15, 20. And then if you think that your product, your envisaged product is similar to the one that you've just researched, you can basically pick out the keywords that are first of all making money, and secondly, have an adequate search volume. And you can take a subjective call to decide how similar, how descriptive that keyword is of your product. So if it's yoga mat and you've typed in mat, arguable whether that's specific enough for you to use, but you could judge whether somebody else is making money off of it. So that's I think one of the most helpful ways to figure out which keywords to use. And in your first coaching session, depending on how far you've gotten, in order to assess how competitive your possible products are, your coach is probably going to ask you, okay, so what keywords are you thinking of using? And then at that point, you've probably, for your product idea, come up with a few, like maybe 5 keywords. And then if you want to be really prepared for your first coaching session, you can say, okay, my product is a yoga mat. I think that these are the top 5 keywords that would help me sell products. I've looked into them using the reverse ASIN search tool. And based on what I can see, this one is making a lot of money for similar products, and it's got an adequate amount of search volume. And then that keyword, you can go and type it into Amazon and you can see what comes up. You can use the what's it called? The little, the add-in, the Chrome add-in from Helium 10 also to show what the search volume is monthly. So triangulating between these tools, the Chrome extension and the reverse ASIN lookup, you can basically get a very good sense of how competitive the product is and which keywords you should target. And the idea is that you choose a few keywords, and by using like 3, 4, 5 keywords, you can get to a minimum search volume of like 5,000. So 5,000 was the magic number that Sophie put into one of the modules. It was somewhere in module 1.4, not very specific, sorry. But she said, make sure you've got at least 5,000 of search volume. So one of the ideas is that you don't need to get all of those 5,000 from one keyword. It might be better for you to choose 5 keywords, and the searches for each of those keywords together adds up to 5,000, and then each one of them will be less competitive.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Elise. That was great. Now, obviously, for people who had no visual of what she was saying, you definitely want to dig into those tools, and so that's covered also in the Helium training, right, Elise, that you were referring to?
Yeah. So I found this by watching Project X.
Project X, very good. Project X is a good tool. Everyone, dig into that. In fact, if anyone's got the link, I think Bernadette may have the link. Bernadette's always got the link. Or at least if you've got the link to Project X, that would be great. I am out of time, guys. I wanted to at least acknowledge James. James, did you have something that you wanted to share before I have to go to my next meeting? James?
Thanks, John. Insurance, a really boring one. Recommended straight from the off, or something that can wait a little time? What's the norm for Amazon platform sellers?
Amazon seller insurance. I have not heard that as a big high demand sort of a thing. Does anyone have ideas on?
Maybe I wasn't clear. Just generally getting business insurance to protect yourself as a seller on that platform.
Uh-oh, I can't hear Bernadette so good. We got digital noise. Something's going on with your connection. Sorry, Bernadette. James, so digital insurance.
Yeah, just whether or not it's a good idea to get insurance from the off to protect us as sellers in case anyone should sue us for a dodgy product.
I think he's talking about LLC.
Yeah, you get that when you incorporate as a corporation
LLC.
that provides you with that.
Excellent. So part of your entity, right? So United States, LTD in the UK. I really would love to hear Bernadette, because she's got wisdom, but she doesn't have a microphone today. She sounds like a cyborg or something. Weird stuff, Bernadette. You know what I'll do? I'll leave the room open. You guys want to continue having this conversation? That's great. I do have to run because I've got binging and bonging going on. That I've got another appointment starting in 4 minutes and 55 seconds. So thank you guys for being here. It's always good to see you. All right, Heather, I'll see you later. And
Bye,
have a
John.
great day. We'll be back here tomorrow. I got some fun stuff I want to talk with you about tomorrow. All right.
Open, John.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye
John.
for now.